Number 15. A YouTuber named Advil thinks he is alone until he hears voices off in the distance. He soon finds himself drawn to the stairs leading down into the basement for reasons he cannot explain. Something just feels out of place down there, but he isn't sure what. He calls out and gets an incredibly strange and eerie reply from the darkness below. Maybe if you are wearing headphones, you can tell me what is being said here. It almost sounds like they are whispering, "He's here."
Hello?
Moments later, Advil receives an undeniable confirmation that something is in the house with him. A dark figure somehow stands out against the pitch black background as it crosses the doorway. It makes no attempt to go up the steps and reveal its true form. If this is real, then whatever is down there apparently wants to stay down there, and possibly one day take Advil with him. Number 14. This video of an airplane cabin was taken by the supervisor of a Mexican airline called Aeromexico. I'm not sure why he was called on board to investigate, but he seems to move slowly and use caution. He's steadily creeping down the aisle when something grabs his attention from behind. His flashlight beam focuses on the far end of the plane. He thinks that he's all alone, but then something proves him absolutely wrong. A solid figure without a face leans into the doorway and silently observes him. The supervisor takes off before we get a chance to see what it was. If this is real, then I'm curious as to how this mysterious creature managed to get off this plane. A security guard is patrolling the Tomás Adolfo Ducos Stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina, when he hears a loud commotion coming from somewhere deep below. The guard is all alone and very reluctant to find the source of the noise without help, but the risk of losing his job pushes him forward. I was thinking it could be some sort of mechanical problem with the furnace, but as this next part shows, it was something much worse. Some kind of invisible force repeatedly slams a flimsy wooden door over and over again, yet there is absolutely nothing on the other side. He never does film the ground though, so maybe somebody ducked out of sight at the last minute. Still, that wouldn't explain what happens behind his back moments later. Something which I have no logical explanation for despite watching multiple times.
La tercera vez.
He crosses the supply room and then turns around just in time to see a quick moving phantom shadow. Even if someone was hiding behind the door, there would have been no way for them to get around the security guard and sneak away without him noticing. None of it adds up, so tell me what you think happened. Number 13. A YouTuber named AG is playing with her phone on the floor when her CCTV system records a bizarre and possibly paranormal display behind her. The strangely shaped phantom consists of little more than 2 arms and a head. The face is simply a single eye in the middle, almost like it's looking at her from the side. The video itself looks a little pixelated, so I guess this could be special effects, or maybe even the brief reflection of something against the wall, though of what I cannot say. Stranger still is how, out of everywhere else in the room, it appears directly behind her, almost like it's self-aware in choosing to do so. Number 12. This video is said to originate from within the woods of Conclaim, Canada. A group of workers are filming an outdoor job site when a gigantic unseen threat rocks them from above. I guess I'm a bit skeptical here, because the birds continue to chirp during and after the noise. I would think that a scream loud enough to shake the camera would send all nearby birds flying away because of the intense vibrations. Still, the scream sounds like it's real and coming from all over. If it was a fake, then it wouldn't make sense to have such good sound editing equipment while using a low resolution camera. The comments section of this video proposes everything from aliens to lost souls, but if this is an amateur production, then even the skeptics have yet to show an original source. A YouTuber named Matthew Van Hughes is enjoying nature when he hears a loud voice of someone who apparently isn't. Listen to this part and tell me if you can literally hear the word help being said, because I think I can. The sound quiets down and then switches over to something far less human. Skeptics think that this is some kind of wild animal, but I think I can hear English being spoken here, but I can't tell what. Maybe the words "don't take me." Let me know what you hear. When he gets to the bottom off the cliff, nothing is there. Matthew waits for an hour and doesn't hear anything else, so he leaves whatever it was to take their final breaths. Number 11. Named Craig Wilson was doing some home repairs when he noticed a small hole in his backyard. He opened it up a little more and was shocked at what he found waiting down below.
This hole goes down, down, down to a giant cavern.
It's a gigantic earthen cavern extending a full 16 feet straight down. Craig wonders out loud if this was natural or man-made as he continues to videotape from a dizzying height. Craig quickly had the hole filled the next day, but he'll never forget about the huge underground threat that was once threatening his home. He and his wife think that it was probably a well about 60 or 70 years ago, but they aren't positive. I'm just relieved that the hole didn't widen while he was standing over the edge. Number 10. A paranormal investigator named Jeff Stetik's world walks into an abandoned house through a door that was kicked open long ago. An old woman once lived here, and all of her possessions are still inside, mostly various clothing items and trinkets, and quite a few photos. He is looking at two black and white pictures of a boy, perhaps a grandchild or a son, when he hears a faint sound coming from further down the hall.
How was that?
He detects nothing with his untrained eye, but as his camera adjusts to the darkness, it does pick up a small outline pressed up against the wall. Perhaps the very same boy in the pictures he was just observing. All of this escapes him as he calmly exits, completely unaware of the boy cloaked darkness just one room away. A ghost hunter doesn't even get his equipment fully set up before he detects a paranormal presence on camera. Look how quickly this shadow moves by. The shadow moves way too fast and also turns in the opposite direction as he does, meaning it can't belong to him. Here's the shadow from a second angle, this time taken from the handheld camera. Clearly, the shadow is caused by something off camera, but whether it's human or not is up for you to decide. Number 9. Behind this bed, there used to be a door. Look closely to the left of the lamp here and you'll see the outline where it was painted over. There's just one problem. Apparently something on the other side doesn't understand that this is no longer a passageway. The knocking sounds polite yet urgent, definitely human. It really does sound like someone who believes that they belong in this room and expects to be let in at any moment. It seems like her problem is not going to go away on its own anytime soon. I really wouldn't want to see what's inside of that wall, but it might be the only way to end the problem for good, or maybe make it way worse. The CCTV was taken at an office building at around 2:30 in the morning. It was noticed immediately by security because the camera only turns on when something moves. A shadowy mass starts at floor level, stops for a second, and then quickly scales up the wall, possibly continuing on to move through the ceiling itself, all while leaving no visible form of entry or making a sound. I don't know what object would have made this strange oval shadow take shape, and neither do the security guards. I think there's a strong chance that this is paranormal, but if not, leave me your best guess as to what this possibly could have been. Number 8. A construction crew is demolishing a parking lot in Philadelphia when they make a historic and horrifying find. The crew was supposed to be building new apartments, but the project quickly switches to an excavation operation as heavy cranes lift casket after casket out of the ground. These caskets are over 300 years old and contain actual human remains. An old church and cemetery used to be here in the 1700s, and all of the caskets were supposed to have been relocated to a different cemetery sometime in the 1860s. Whoever was in charge of the operation lied and said they moved the bodies when they did not, probably to cut costs. This means for hundreds of years, people have been walking over top these unmarked caskets without knowing it. By the way, this happened somewhere around 2nd and Arch Street in Old City, so let me know if you may have passed over them. A news reporter named Tara Edwards and her cameraman Derek Lee travel with a ghost hunting team to the Riverside Cemetery in South Rockwood, Detroit. Everybody is all smiles in the beginning, but all of that is about to end. They cross the marker of an infant and their equipment lights up. At 2 minutes and 39 seconds, you can see all the lights are on, which I guess means this particular area is as haunted as it gets. Anyway, they leave the recorder on and eventually they pick up a random word that turns Tara Edwards from a skeptic into a believer. They think it whispers manor, but I think it sounds like I'm here. Tell me what you think it says. Number 7. Jenny Smith is an animal researcher. One day she is alone in nature when a kingfisher bird befriends her, almost like it knows she is an ally to the animal kingdom. This behavior is strange enough on its own, but it doesn't end there. The bright blue bird is enjoying a light scratch when suddenly its fragile neck becomes twisted to a 360-degree angle and looks ready to snap, even under Jenny's extra light touch. I think that its neck was designed to do this, and it's just reacting to being pet, but I can see how that could freak somebody out. But still, after a while, when Jenny is ready to let it go, the wild animal seems to be reluctant to leave. It doesn't look sick or hurt, so I was wondering what you think is happening here. Some Twitter followers are saying this is just a random occurrence in nature, but others interpret this as a horrifying omen. To them, the bird is demonstrating that the fate of its very species is within our grasp, and when it doesn't want to leave, it's to show that it's relying on humans to make a change. I find that theory a little hard to believe, but I'd like to get your analysis of the situation. Number 6. A user named Dolphin Treasure posted this on the Chills Narrator subreddit. After her dog Bandit started really freaking her out, Bandit keeps staring up and growling at something it perceives as a threat in an otherwise quiet, normal-looking room.
Bandit, what's bothering you?
There's a lot of memorabilia that could be bothering her dog, so one by one, she takes items off of her shelf to show. It's also worth noting that this dog has never behaved this way at any of these items on the shelf before, and was sitting peacefully in her lap moments before.
Is that who you're barking at? No? My gosh, dude, you are freaking me out.
After a while, she concludes it's nothing on the shelf, but rather something up higher, like on the ceiling. But there's nothing up there that I can see that would hold a small dog's attention for so long, especially with such steadfast conviction. Number 5. A YouTuber named Michael Delaney is flying his drone when he comes across a wild animal in the brush. He follows its path and soon finds himself hovering above a den of rattlesnakes. Michael is casually observing their natural habitat when suddenly one of them feels threatened enough to react. The drone is fine, but the snake managed to dislodge the camera. Now the situation gets a whole lot more real, as Michael realizes he will have to somehow reach into an underground pit of snakes if he wants to see his GoPro again. Thinking fast, he wisely chooses to go in with a hockey stick instead of his bare hands. He balances the GoPro on the end of the stick and pulls it to safety. Keep in mind that he's standing in tall grass and could have easily been bit by a stray rattler. Let me know if you think you're brave enough to do the same thing, or if you would have just left your camera with the reptiles. Number 4. A YouTuber named Underwater Ireland explores a cemetery on a dreary day. Crows cackle loudly overhead like a warning not to go any further as she treads sacred ground.
They look like Celtic type of crosses.
Underwater Ireland looks down and notices that all of the markers have a wide gap. I have never seen any cemetery with this problem before, have you? If I didn't know better, it almost looks like the buried have been trying to claw their way out. She sets up some cameras and records overnight, and this is what she finds the next day.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There! Did you see that flash?
And this is the same shot from a different angle. Also, notice how the gate opens here. Okay, so this frowning man wearing a helmet is what the image looks like when the video is stopped. Is this special effects, or did a spirit really come face to face with the camera moments after opening the entrance? Anthony lives around a bunch of abandoned farmland that he has always wanted to explore. So he takes his camera and spends the whole day poking around. He doesn't know anything about the history of this land or why it was abandoned, but the more he discovers, the less alone he feels.
There's a bed in here. Hello?
The buildings are all single-story structures in various states of decay, and each one is somehow distinctly lonesome in its own way. By the time he comes across the main house, he is very jumpy and senses eyes on him from afar. Tell me if you hear whispering during this part when he opens the door.
Makes me weary.
I guess it could just be the creaky springs of an old screen door or something, but it really does sound like it could be voices. Anyway, the inside of the house is pretty well kept, especially compared to the other buildings, yet the unrelenting unholy aura only grows stronger with each step he takes. At one point, an abandoned nursery room literally makes Anthony nauseous. Surely something bad must have happened here.
This was a kid's room, and I feel so uneasy. I feel dizzy.
Anthony manages to check out the rest of the house, even the basement, without incident. He's ready to leave altogether, but there's just one final surprise left for him on the way out.
What the f was that? Something literally kicked the door.
The door abruptly closes with a short and impolite slam, the exact kind that homeowners use when they are upset with someone for being at their door. I don't think Anthony shut the door by himself because he was out of arm's reach when it happened, and maybe it's just me, but I think I can see some kind of shadowy mist in the window on the right, coincidentally in the same room he was just in. Number 3. A YouTuber named Deep South Bama with Mr. Tom wakes up at 3 a.m. after, in his words, he heard some deep thuds around his house. When he goes outside, he sees strange activity around the flagpole in his local graveyard. These bouncing balls of light streak across the sky without a sound or any clue as to what they are. Sometimes they are dim and sometimes they are much brighter. Somebody said that they could be bats, but I noticed the lights always seem to stay at about the height of a person. It can't be flashlights because they keep going out after a second. It's impossible to tell what it is from this distance, and I don't think he wants to get any closer. Number 2. A man named Philip Shapiro sets up a camera after being woken up every night by his bedroom door opening on its own. The door opens as usual, but this time Philip catches more paranormal activity than he ever expected was possible. His bedroom door hangs open and a shadow plays across the wall despite there being no apparent light source. Notice how the left side of the room actually grows darker when the shadow passes through. Tell me if this is a sign of the paranormal or simply video editing. I've got a challenge for you. Since you've made it this far, why not like this video and hit subscribe in the next 5 seconds? Because we upload a new scary video every week. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1. So let me ask you a question. What could possibly be creepier than a large gathering of mannequins carefully positioned inside of classic cars to look real from a distance, each one with a realistic expression, ranging from pensive to pleasantly surprised? How about 20 seconds into the video, when you see that this already strange scene is literally across from a cemetery? It's apparently a vintage car exhibit that was set up by a former gas station owner in Missouri. But as I look at this taxi driver with large animal ears and a faraway look in his eyes sitting next to his bony partner, I can only wonder what the overall meaning of this is, if any, or why anyone would want to stay long enough to try and figure it all out. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!